Dallas at Carolina. Any hope that this is at least competitive, or do we just think this is going to be Dallas walking all over the Panthers?
So, on the Panthers side, the thing that kind of comes back to everything for me is how much better things going to be with Frank Reich now calling plays again. Adam Thielen was far more productive in games with Frank Reich's calling the plays throughout this season. I had the splits in front of me and seemed to have misplaced them.
It's 21.1 points in games with Frank Reich and 11.1 without.
Exactly. So you look at that and you go, okay, well, can Adam Thielen be productive? Because if he is, then we can start looking at ways to build bigger stacks for DraftKings anyway. But in terms of this game, what's been incredibly interesting is just how pass heavy the Cowboys have really leaned over a few weeks. They've had their three most high pass rate games in the last 2 years in terms of situational neutral pass rate in 3 consecutive weeks. So I think you can look at that. You can look at the way they're using CD Lamb, moving him all over the field, and I'd be completely fine playing them. I think Dak is going to regress slightly because we've had this kind of crazy streak where he's been no worse than QB3. He's thrown for 300 passing yards and at least 3 touchdowns in each of the last 3 games. But the Cowboys just don't strike me as a team that are going to completely stop and revert back to the run at the minute. If they do, it's an absolute prime matchup for Tony Pollard. You know, we can't keep saying this is the week for Tony Pollard because it's been several weeks now and it's been pretty grim. But the Panthers do allow a league-high 1.4 running back rushing touchdowns per game. Nobody allows more running back rushing touchdowns per game. We saw last week the Cowboys really wanted to get it going for Pollard, and they gave him goal line opportunities, and it just didn't work out. I think I just feel more confident going, okay, I'd start Dak Prescott, I'd start CD Lamb, and then I'd maybe peg on one of Cooks or Gallup. I'm a little lower on Jake Ferguson this week because the Panthers allow the 7th fewest tight end fantasy points. But yeah, I think I'm just happy playing the Dak doubles at the minute. And, you know, in redraft, if I need to start one of Pollard or Ferguson, I would, and I wouldn't feel too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about those kind of secondary and tertiary Dallas receivers. I think the Panthers are second in adjusted fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver position. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to eat. We've seen the last 3 weeks. He's the first player ever to go 10 catches, 150 yards in 3 consecutive games. I think he's going to get his, but I'm worried about Cooks, Gallup, Tolbert, Ferguson. I think they could struggle. Look, I'm willing to keep rolling the dice on Tony Pollard in my lineups. I'm willing to keep rolling the dice on him in whether it be DraftKings or Fantasy Game Day, wherever we're talking. The week is coming. I think he looks explosive in the passing game and completely not explosive in the running game. And I can't get my head around why that is the case. But I think it's going to come, and I'm willing to go down on the ship of Tony Pollard. The regression is coming. I think he's going to produce rather than miss out on a guy that I think is, you know, potentially going to have a blowout week. Whilst we're here, we've got a question from Emiliano. He says, in 7-3 in a Dynasty Superflex, do I start Boyd over Dell? Got Gus, AJ Dillon. No, it's easily Tank Dell this week.
Yeah, Tank Dell's got a far nicer matchup, I'd say, than Boyd. Boyd, you're hoping for it to get more on volume. And, you know, I think the only way Boyd really screws you over here is if he gets into the end zone. Otherwise, I think I'd feel much more confident in Dell.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, that's, I think, a humble brag from you. That's an incredible wide receiver call there. CDA, Addison Wilson. I think you're going to be competing for a few years to come. If you are here, if you're enjoying Tom's talk about DFS, if you want to get more Dynasty content, hit that join button below. We've got 3 different tiers. You get so much access. You get access to mine and Tom's content, Dynasty Survival Kit, DFS write-ups, and so much more. Hit that join button. We promise you will not regret it.